Chapter 2 Draco. I fell on my face. That blasted girl got in after me and slammed headlong into my back. My wand had been halfway into my hand. Now it skittered away across the stone floor and into the blackness. I swore in French and then Italian as I scrambled back to my feet, wincing at the pain shooting down my knees and elbows. I could see nothing, not even my hand in front of my face. "Brilliant, Granger," I shouted, my voice echoing off the towering walls. "You made me let go of my wand." "Why did you have your wand out?" she gasped, stumbling around somewhere to my left. "To kill you with it." "What?" she yelped. "You're really going to—" "Oh, get over it," I snarled. "I thought I might just need a freaking light." "Oh," she said tremulously, and then her voice grew firm. "Lumos." Nothing happened. "Lumos," she repeated. "Give it to me." I held out my hand in the direction I thought she stood. "No." I heard her bump back against a wall. That confirmed it. The door was gone. "Do you not even know how to use the stupid thing?" I took 3 steps toward her, cursing this pitch blackness, and my hand brushed her shoulder. I grabbed her arm hard. "Give me your wand. Draco Malfoy, you let go of me." She thrashed against my grip, but she couldn't see either. I fought her flailing, trying not to get hit in the face, and slapped my other hand down on her wrist. "No," she yelped as I pushed her back against the wall. "Stop acting like an infant and give me your wand," I roared, just as I snatched it out of her right hand. I spun around, held it up, and took a deep breath. "Lumos." Nothing happened. Nothing at all, not even a spark. It was like I was holding a stick from one of the trees outside. I shook it. "What's wrong with your wand?" "Nothing's wrong with my wand," Hermione panted, her voice breaking with rage. "Give it back to me." "Fine." I tossed it in her direction. It struck stone, then fell onto the floor and rolled. "Where did it go? Draco, where did it go?" she gasped, scrambling around on the stones with her hands. I didn't answer. My eyes kept widening, trying to catch some little ray of light, some shadow or flicker of a candle, but there was nothing. And from the depth of the echoes made by our screaming match, this room was completely empty. "I can't find it," Hermione cried. "I can't find it. I can't find mine either," I barked, hands clenching. "Are you even looking?" "Looking? How could I look? It's pitch black in here." "I know that. Are you trying to find it?" "What's the point of finding it?" I retorted. "They don't work in here." "Why wouldn't they work?" "How should I know?" "What were you thinking when you came in here?" she demanded. I whirled around out of reflex, but I still could not see her. "Listen, if you're trying to call me thick—" "I'm not," she shot back. "I'm trying to figure out where we are." "The room of requirement," I snorted. "I know." "Stop screaming. You stop screaming." "Granger, if you don't shut up, I'm going to—" "Shh! What did you say?" I started, offended. "Shh! Hey, I don't appreciate being—" Her hand clamped down on my wrist. I jerked, tried to throw her off. "Listen," she hissed. I went still. For a moment I heard nothing, and was about to fling her across the room, when an orange glow bloomed far off on the other end of the room. A room that was apparently 3 times as long as any of the halls in my house. I squinted, for my eyes had tried to adjust to the dark. Hermione did not let go of my arm. "What is that?" she whispered, suddenly quiet. I said nothing. Sounds issued from that glow, scuffling, scraping, and then a high-pitched, whistling howl roared up to the ceiling. All of my blood went cold. A deep shudder ran through my whole body. I tried to control myself, but I could only swallow convulsively and take a step back. "Draco, what is that?" "Mountain goblins," I said through my teeth, and then all my muscles locked in place and I went stiff as a board. "Mountain goblins?" Hermione repeated, baffled. "What, in the castle?" I literally could not answer. I could not even move. Should we run? Both of her hands gripped my wrist now. The glow grew, spread out to show walls of the room, which were not walls at all, but the jaggedy-hewn rock of a cave. And then sharp shadows of lurching, crawling figures danced across the rock, and throaty, gurgling laughter and growling slithered towards us. Draco, should we run? The growling rose to primal shriek. They'd seen us. But try as I might, my muscles were like lead. My heart beat so hard in the veins and my neck hurt. Draco? I managed, but could not budge. Then come on! Hermione yanked at my arm, spun me around, and dragged me forward. The next instant the goblins broke into a frenzied run, straight on our heels, skittering, snarling, stamping, and gnashing their teeth. I forced my frozen legs to work, even as I stumbled forward into total darkness, led by nothing but that mudblood's fingers. Come on, she urged, and I pumped my legs faster. The goblin snatched at the back of my loose shirt. I felt a claw strike my back, and my breathing snapped like I was sucking in knives. I squeezed my eyes shut, for it made no difference, and I ran as hard as I could. And then, behind me, ghoulish, resonating singing snarled and bubbled from the seething ranks. Clap, snap, the black crack, grip, grab, pinch, nab, and down, down to Goblin Town you go, my lad. Clash, crash, crush, smash, hammer and tongs, knocker and gongs, pound, pound for underground, ho, ho, my lad. Draco, Hermione gasped, just as I almost tripped. I felt goblin breath right behind me, smelled their stench. Draco, I see something. Where? I yelped, opening my eyes again. There, she said, and far, far ahead of us I glimpsed a little light. At that moment, my feet struck something that was not stone. It felt like earth and pine needles, and then trees rushed past us on either side. We were in a wood. The goblins kept coming. Swish, smack, whip, crack, batter and beat, yammer and bleat, work, work, no dare shirk, while goblins squaff and goblins laugh, round and round far underground, below, my lad. Almost there, Hermione breathed, tightening her hold on me. Now I could see the path ahead of us. It was wide, covered with pine needles. The glow was different, not like a goblin hole, somehow brighter, more open. Jaws clapped together right in my ear. I bit out a strangled cry and battered my hand backward, striking leathery goblin flesh. Then one of them sank its teeth into the back of my leg. I howled, burning pain lancing up my leg and back. Hermione threw me toward the opening. I broke through, out of the woods. I soared into brilliant golden light. The pain in my leg vanished. For an instant, I saw blue sky and yellow grass. Then I thudded to the ground. Silence. A restless wind rustled through the tall grass over my head. I lay for a moment, paralyzed, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. The wind whispered. I opened my eyes. I lay on my stomach on top of crushed stalks of barley. The golden strands stood thick by my face and my hands. I took a deep breath and closed my fingers through the crisp grass. The earthy, sweet scent of hay filled my lungs. I frowned, then slowly sat up. The warm breeze caught my hair. I squeezed my eyes shut a moment as brilliant, unobstructed light struck them. I reached up and rubbed my face, then looked around. I sat in a golden barley field, a cloudless sky up above, waving stalks as far as I could see, except one thing. In the distance stood a tree, beautiful but out of place. An ancient weeping willow leaned to one side atop a hill, its long branches hanging down to the ground. My eyes narrowed. Had I been here before? I glanced back. Behind me stood a black forest, like a wall of iron. There was the path we had just taken, looking like a tunnel through a mountain. Beyond it, darkness and quiet waited. The goblins weren't following. I glanced down at the back of my leg, expecting to see torn cloth and a wound, but there was nothing wrong with my leg, and my trousers were intact. Something crashed against the barley on my right. I whipped around to see Granger shooting into a sitting position, hay in her hair, her sweater and tie disheveled. She looked all around, then behind her at the forest, then back at the distant willow. She frowned. Where are we? Why do you think I am the one who would know that? I demanded, starting forward. Where are you going? I heard her get up and stomp after me. Away from you. Until what? Until you find the door? She countered. How do you propose to do that without even having a wand? The traditional way, I answered, by looking for it. We're in the middle of a field, she cried. Her feet halted. Draco, stop. No. You must tell me where we are. No, I mustn't, I retorted, whirling around and giving her an ugly look. This is your fault anyway. If you hadn't been following me and confused the room, we wouldn't have wound up in this nightmare. I spun back around and stormed toward the willow, not allowing myself to wonder why I was going there. Wait. My footsteps slowed and I frowned. I glanced over my shoulder and raised an eyebrow. Hermione stared at the ground. What? I questioned. She met my eyes. I've heard that song before. I glanced around, nonplussed. What song? The goblin song, she said. Keep lots of company with goblins, Granger? I sneered. Don't be ridiculous. I've heard it somewhere else, she insisted, then gave me a bewildered look. I think it's from a book. That stopped me. I swallowed hard. It is, isn't it? She took a step toward me. Tolkien. My eyes flashed. He's a wizard, I snapped. How would you know anything about The Hobbit? She finished. I stared at her. Her face lit up. Yes, it is from The Hobbit. When every one of them but Gandalf was captured by the goblins, when they were sheltering in a cave because of the thunderstorm. I tried to give her a withering glare, but it didn't work, so I just turned back around and kept marching through the barley to the willow. Don't you understand? She persisted. The Room of Requirement has access to our thoughts. That's part of its enchantment. It knows you read The Hobbit. She caught up to me, and I could feel the weird look she was giving me. Why were you thinking about goblins? I wasn't, I insisted. Well, I certainly wasn't, she said, her voice lowered. It's like the room knew what would scare you. I was not scared, I bluffed. She wasn't listening. The question is, she mused, why would it want to scare you? It's a room, Granger, I said. It doesn't want anything. I shook my head and laughed at the empty sky. Typical muggle. Can't seem to grasp the concept that magic just has rules. What do you mean? She trotted up right next to me, peering at my face. You're insufferable, you know that? I glowered at her. What do you mean? I stopped walking. It didn't seem like I was getting any closer to that willow anyway. Listen, little girl, I grunted. The Room of Requirement takes your thoughts and transforms them into reality, right? She watched me keenly, her brown eyes bright, her brow creased. I gritted my teeth. Usually when people find it, they're thinking about one focused thing, I explained, feeling like Professor Snape trying to get a concept into Potter's thick skull. But if you start out thinking of one particular thing, and then 1,000 other things crash into your head while you're going through the door, you're going to blunder into something like a freaking Alice in Wonderland. I jabbed a finger at her face. And that's if you're only dealing with one person's unfocused head, not two people bashing in here with no time to get a clear idea as to what it is they actually want. Wonderland, she repeated, as if letting that sink in. Or Neverland, I muttered, charging toward the willow again, through the tall, crunching grass, as in never going to find the blasted door. Why do you keep walking in that direction? Hermione called. The door is back there. Does that way look any better to you? I gestured broadly back towards the deep, dark path in the woods. Feel free, I'm not stopping you.